Hi there, this is Miss Emma Grace, your station manager, and you're listening to Rooted. This is the finale of our Senior Conversations edition of Rooted. This one is really cool. This one, I was able to interview all of the senior class of our department all at once. So all of us are broadcasting majors, and we're all seniors, and we all went through the past 4 years together. You're about to hear a lot of laughter, a lot of stories, some jokes, just everything around college and what we've been through the past 4 years. It was a lot of fun to get together, especially since we haven't been able to see each other these last few weeks, especially after being together for a lot of things. I mean, in our department, we're pretty small, and so along with that, we work all on all our projects together, and we help each other with projects, and we do all things of that sort, because that's just what broadcasting is. It's a team effort, and no one person can get it done on their own. So we all have a really close bond with each other, and we're really excited for you to get to hear this. So like I said, it's a little crazy. It's not quite the norm of what we normally do on Rooted, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it's important. So please enjoy listening to this interview with the broadcast senior class. Hey guys, thank you for joining me today, and that we can have this senior conversations with the entire broadcast senior class. We're a fairly big class, one of the biggest ones they've had. So we're going to start out with your name and the area of the department that you're involved in.
So I'm Paige Schreiber, and I am mainly involved with sports, but I also did a little bit with radio as well as news.
Hi, I'm Shelby Price. I focused mainly on news, but I also did a lot in sports.
I'm Sydney Fife. I'm on the sales and marketing track in the broadcast department, and I was mostly involved in the news station.
My name is Peter Price. I did a lot of radio stuff, and also I'm part of the church media track.
My name is Noah Tobias. I worked a lot with sports and a decent amount with radio, but I was also the first and only one on the Arizona track.
Hi, I'm Jacob Osbourne. I'm a radio guy, and yeah. Also, I was on the capstone track as well. Sorry, Noah. I didn't go to Arizona.
Okay, I'm Kobe Solms. I'm the current FTN Sports producer, ending very soon. I'm on the corporate media track, and obviously I did a lot of sports.
Hi, I'm Ryan Lockhart. I'm also heavily involved in sports and did a little bit with radio and a little bit with news as well.
So guys, let's just start with some conversations here. Let's start with why you chose broadcast. I know for a lot of people there's a different reason as to why they did that.
Okay, so I was originally a PR major when I got to HU, and I liked the content that I was learning, but not the way I was learning it. Lecture classes just were not my thing. So I wanted a little bit of a different challenge. But I knew that the career path I wanted would be the same. So I found out that you could have different tracks in the broadcast department. So the sales and marketing track was still what I wanted to do in the future, and I was able to have a more hands-on approach to learning that.
Yeah, and Sydney, I also know you originally weren't going to come to Huntington, right?
I was not. I committed to going to Trine University to study communications, and then the day I was supposed to move into my dorm, I told my parents I did not want to go. So I very quickly registered for classes at Huntington, and I think it served me pretty well. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Well, mine was kind of a little bit different because I came for film, but I did a lot of broadcasting in high school, and I really enjoyed it. And when I was taking my tour, they were telling me I could double degree in it. So that's how I kind of figured out like I wanted to get back into the news part because I love technical directing and I love sports a lot. They told me I could do both of those and like start out on like my first couple days. So that's kind of how I got back into the news.
That's awesome.
Mine's really similar to Paige. I came for film, and then in high school, I did a lot of anchoring for our news station that we created, and I loved it. and they told me also I could double major, and so I was like, yeah, why not do both? So Paige and I have survived the last 4 years double majoring in two of the hardest things you can do.
Yes.
I started broadcasting actually when I was a sophomore in high school. I did not know, I didn't really want to broadcast, but one of my friends actually talked me into it. So I started running camera for football games and commentating a little bit, and then I just started doing it during basketball season and really fell in love with it. And, people were coming up to me and saying that they enjoyed listening to me. So I kind of figured, well, I like doing it, and other people are telling me that I'm doing a good job in it, so why not?
In high school, we'd actually started a sports broadcasting kind of side of media. My junior year and my senior year, we expanded upon it, and it was just something I fell in love with. I actually came in as a double major with journalism as well as a freshman. And after about a year of that, decided I'd like to go more toward broadcast and stay away from the journalism side a little bit. Sydney's in that same boat as me too.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, mine was a little different. I had no like outs or experience before with broadcasting. For me, it was just like, this sounds like fun. Radio sounds like fun. I doing a job just and being able to talk and have a good time. I like talking. I like to interact with people. I think I could do this. So I did it and fell in love with radio, and then gotten a call into like more media and video work. So it's weird, but yeah, everybody's like, oh, I did all this, but no, just decided it was fun.
So when I came to HU, I started out just doing film for about 2.5 years, and then half part of the way in my junior year, I'm kind of like, I'm just not in love with this anymore. The politics of crews and all that, I'm like, this just really isn't for me. I'm not enjoying this, and so I made the switch, and I am so happy I made that switch. It's definitely been life-changing for me.
I started radio in my freshman year high school, actually, here in Huntington, actually at Huntington North. And I fell in love with it and was like, let's go to college for this, because if I can get a degree and I can get a job in that, then what's not to love, right?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of funny that most of us had some sort of high school experience in that. And then Peter, I always love when Peter tells why he came, because it's the stereotypical thing that people say of, oh, you love to talk, so no wonder you're in broadcasting, which I think is always hilarious.
Then I became an editor, so it became barely on the radio, so anything's interesting.
Yeah, it's like second best to people asking you if you're going to be the weatherman or the weatherwoman in broadcasting, because that's all they think about.
Or it's like you mentioned that you're going into radio and they're like, you have a great personality for that. And it's like,
got a face for radio,
That's yeah, I was going to say, that's almost like saying I have a face for radio, which I do.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. So do you guys have any other like weird things people have said to you when you say you're a broadcasting major, or work in news or radio or TV or whatever? Because I know there's people have said some weird things to me myself.
Are you gonna get a job with that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yep.
Or something like radio's dying. Haven't you seen all these statistics about Spotify and Pandora? But
I got so you like to hear or like tell us a bunch of fake news, and or you're political. Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
Yikes.
I mean, like, there have been people that have asked me just simply, what is that? Like, what is broadcast media or whatever? And even today I had to explain to somebody just what I've done at Huntington.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic, because a lot of people, you'll tell them you're in broadcasting and they're not quite exactly sure what that is, which is really funny, because news, radio, and sports are things that people watch every single day. And so it's just like, It's kind of funny that they don't realize that it's like all in that bubble together, which is really funny to me. Do you guys have anyone that you look up to in the broadcasting world, or for Shelby and Paige in the film world, that you kind of look to for advice, or just
you really admire their work?
Oh yeah. So mine's not really broadcasting per se, but it's in church media, and he did a lot of online services. I actually got to work with him this last summer. His name's Rodney Giernus. And I love this guy. He was the best boss I've ever had. Learned so much from him. And he came from like a news background out in California, I believe. But coming into church, into working in a church and applying it there, I learned a lot of how you can turn a lot of these things that we do, these films or these videos we make, anything that we can do into a ministry to tell God's story. And I really looked up to that.
On the
I
film
guess
side,
for me, I honestly look up to Wes Anderson a lot, just because his films take a lot of time to make, and he puts a lot into his craft. He doesn't just throw movies out like one after the other. He takes his time and like makes sure it's the best movie he can make. And that really inspires me to make sure that I'm like slowing down and taking my time.
on the film side, I'd probably have to say Donald Glover. I've always looked up to him because he literally just can do anything, and he kind of just dips his toes into any projects he wants to. And I love doing that too. I like getting my hand in a lot of different things. But like on more of a personal level, my high school teacher, Greg Allen, he taught me everything when I first started in broadcasting and in film. And I would never have started this track without him. So he's kind of like a mentor to me. But yeah.
I did an internship at Wayne 15 this past summer, which, as everyone knows, is the former employee of Adam Widener. Because I thought that maybe I would want to go work in a news station someday, and I found out that I didn't. But I had a really cool producer that I was working with. His name's Drew Bogues, and he really is invested in the content that he puts into his shows, and he was really meticulous about how he stacked his shows, and also just like how he created like a very fun work environment, because it was the first time I had ever worked in any kind of a professional environment like that. But he was like best friends with most of the people sitting around his computer and everything. So like, and they would all help each other if they needed, they were running short on time and somebody didn't have anything to do. They'd be like, "Hey, can I edit a video for you?" Things like that. So I think it was more of like the relationships that he had in the station that was really cool for me.
So kind of going off of that, internships, a couple of you have mentioned, I'd love to hear some favorite stories from internships that you guys have done before.
So in between my sophomore and junior year, I went to the Dominican Republic and served down there. And I think my favorite story or experience I had down there working, doing media and all that would probably be, even though it was really hard, was climbing Pico Duarte. And like, I did absolutely no media, but it was nice to have a week where like, hey, like I'm going to focus on encouraging these young men to like climb this humongous mountain over 4.5 days and like be intentional with them. Like there was no devices, no technology going on at all. Like half the places we stayed at night had no electricity. And so it was literally like, hey, we're going to sit by the fire. We're going to talk about Jesus. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And so having that experience, because media brought me there, was cool for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I've done 2 internships. So I've done one in Fort Wayne and then one right now in Marion. But one of my favorite things is that this has nothing to do with radio really, but anytime that a restaurant or a fast food place has a promotion going on, they bring the food to the station for the personalities and stuff to try. So like while I was at Adam's radio station, Adam's radio group, no relation to Adam Widener, they had a McDonald's thing, and we just got food, and I was like, yes, this is great. But I mean, all of the people that I've met at Adams and also at Hoosier AM FM in Marion, they're great people. Like, you don't expect that people are like, hey, this is a horrible job to go into. Don't do it. And then you meet people that are actually in the field and you're like, wow, this is great. These are great people.
During my time at Huntington, I've done actually a lot of different things. I worked at a federated media in Fort Wayne, and I worked with their promotions department, and so I got to learn that kind of side of things. Then I actually still have a job with the Fort Wayne Tin Caps minor league baseball team in Fort Wayne, and I'm their main instant replay operator, and I do camera sometimes whenever I'm not doing replay. But then this semester, I actually had the opportunity to go out to Arizona and work with Huntington's satellite campus. And I was actually the first one in Huntington history to do that. And I first got the idea when Dr. Clark, the head of digital media arts at Huntington, and I first met my senior year of high school. And he, mentioned it to me when we first got together. And, it was an amazing experience. I interviewed with Fox Sports San Diego, and I actually made a 30-second music video for them. And I went on to the next round, which was the final round of interviews. And I ended up not making it before I could even interview because of something, how they had already hired enough people. I'm not even sure I understand it. And I actually went through the process. So, but no, then while out in Arizona, I actually did a highlight video for a Fortune 500 company called Edward Jones. They're fairly known around this area, but then I got a part-time job with a nonprofit organization called Sports to Serve, and they're just starting up and everything, but I was their digital media content creator, so I was starting to run their social media, but we just hadn't launched yet, and so there are some things on hold right now with them, but still with Huntington, I got to learn a lot of different things. I got to work with a lot of different great people, and it was just really, really cool to have all of those different experiences for sure.
I actually had 2 internships as well. My first one was with Matt Waters, who is a singer-songwriter from Cincinnati, Ohio. And I kind of was his social media manager and digital marketing content creator. So I ran a lot of different things and dipped my toes into merchandise and posters and tour videos, concert photography, just a lot of different things. That one was incredible, and actually I still work for him to this day. I love working for him. He's an incredible person. And then my most recent internship was actually in Los Angeles because I was on the film track to go out to LA for a semester, even though that ended halfway. But I interned with Alcon Sleeping Giant, which was a record label and a TV production kind of place where they got artists into their songs into films and TV and series and things like that. And so one of my main jobs was that I got to look for unsigned artists and get them in contact with Alcon and try to get them signed. And right before I left, I got to sign my first person. So that was really fun. But both those internships taught me so much. And I definitely got just an incredible amount of experience in different areas than I never would have thought I could do.
Yeah, I think for me, because I did my internship at the Napanee Missionary Church, and Rodney, he just gave me a bunch of videos that were all recorded on a cell phone type of thing. It was the Pastor Dave. It was his 40th year ministering there, and so they wanted to make a thank you video. So they gathered a whole bunch of people to tell him thank you, tell a little story about what he did for them, how he impacted them. And he gave me all this footage, and he said, we want to make this minute-long thank you video. So I was up there editing. I got a first cut done, and we were showing it to Pastor Joe because it was a surprise to Dave. He didn't know it was being made. And while I was editing, or while he was watching the first cut, he was like, "This is really good. Could you?" And the way he's like, "I don't know how to explain this. Can you do this really cool thing, make it go really fast, almost like just a montage?" And he was like, he's a guy who doesn't know much about computers, but being editing for as long as I have, I knew exactly what he wanted, and I could do it within just a few seconds because it was real simple. So I did it right there in front of him. I've never seen someone so impressed with me just making cuts But no, that whole video, that whole project was a highlight because I can honestly say I made an old man cry making a video.
For me, I've actually done technically 3 internships, but my favorite one's been my last one that I've been working with. It's a place called Mouse Media back in home, and I've had to drive the hour and a half every week, once a week to go. But it's been really fun to work with them. And the one project that I was like super excited about and like proud of is one of my first things that I had to do with them. And I was a producer for an interview with this girl from Ivy Tech. And there wasn't a whole lot of people that are allowed to be in the room for the interview, so it was kind of nice to like be kind of exclusive. But she got to tell her story about how she grew up with her dad was like a drug addict, and all she wanted to do was to help people. And like she's been through so many traumatic events, she's like, I don't want other kids to have to go through that. And since I was one of the only people there, they asked me to run the audio for it. And I was very nervous, but they asked me if I knew how to run a Zoom kit. And I was like, oh yeah, I use these like all the time at school. Like, wait, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, like I could do this. Like, oh, thank God. Like they were so nervous at first. Like, since you know how to use it, like this will be great. Like, and just like recording it and being like so close to the interview and like hearing it all, like it was just so eye-opening, and it really truly like made me realize that I do really like doing this. So yeah, I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, I think that's the best part of an internship is when you go to it and you know what you're doing because you learned it at school. Because sometimes when you're in college, it feels like you haven't learned anything because you learned so much.
Exactly.
And so it's like, am I really going to use this or no? So I think it's awesome. So transitioning kind of into our experience at HU, I'm going to start out with a good question. So Adam Widener is our fearless leader as professor of our department, and like the only broadcasting professor other than our wonderful adjunct, Dale Gerke. And so I would like you guys, actually I should bring Dale into this too. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite Adam Widener quote first?
Well, there's so many good ones. Oh.
Can we state the obvious one first? Is fake it till you make it.
Oh, right.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Since freshman year, I've learned how to fake it till I make it.
Yes.
Whenever you
Funny thing is that he's not the only one that says that in radio. To Kentucky for that National Radio Talent System thing, and one of the speakers said the exact same thing, and I was like, have you been talking to Adam? It was
whenever
so fun.
he starts a texting conversation with me, he'll always say, "What's up, brother?"
No. Ryan, what was that? There was one day in the lab he said something to Ryan. What was that?
I think he said like, hey boy, but it was like the way he phrased it, it was just like a weird, like, I didn't know how to answer it. And then he used emojis too. I think we can all talk about Adam's emoji use as a little off the charts.
Yeah.
I get a lot of thumbs up from that guy.
Remember when he created his own on Slack of like our
stickers?
Noah's
I
stickers?
forgot
Yeah,
about
Noah.
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember the one of Josh with the surge can?
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, great memories.
One of my favorite quotes from Adam, I was looking at him, trying to find a good one.
I knew Jacob had
Is
them written down. I remember.
Josh was just sitting in on Radio Practicum one day, and he was just sitting there, and Adam out of nowhere, or not out of nowhere, but in the conversation was like, be like Josh, he has no life. And the whole room just exploded with laughter.
Oh my God.
It was horrible.
Yeah, because that's the thing in Radio Practicum. All of a sudden, our spots, like Josh became our mascot on all.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Be like Josh. Like we said it so many times.
It was hilarious.
Can we think of some Dale Gerke quotes or nuggets of wisdom? Because he was the king of nuggets of wisdom. My favorite is just keep throwing the spaghetti at the wall until it sticks. I don't know why, but I think about that all the time.
There was one that he sent me, and it was like so out of context in class. But he was like, Paige, I just want to thank you. And I was like, for what? And he goes, for being Catholic, but not being like over the top crazy Catholic. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you're a calm and cool Catholic. I was like, all right.
Oh no.
I don't have a quote, but one of my favorite memories with him was we were in class and we were I think it was after we like no, I'm sorry. I think it was after you like failed that one test.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And we were all just yelling.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
That was the best
But-
time ever.
Now all internet.
He just was
Sorry, Noah.
giving us answers, which was hysterical. But I was Snapchatting my mom, and I turned it around, and I was like, "Say hi to my mom." And he goes, "Oh, hi!" And he like put his glasses down. It is just my favorite video of him in the entire world.
That's
I love him so
hilarious.
much. Sorry, Noah. Love you.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And that was my
funny thing
first
was,
broadcast
Noah-
class, and so I was just like,
Oh my god. That was oh my.
himself though. Like we were all like, oh, he goes, yeah, only one person like didn't do well on the test, and I was like, well, great, thanks. And we're like, he didn't say who it was.
Yeah, Noah outed himself, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, you fixed it. It was fine.
Yeah.
One of my best things I did in college.
Oh no, I think that was a nice highlight.
That
Yeah.
should have won an Emmy.
His-
Got nominated
What
for
did
an
he
Emmy.
say once about LaCroix? Didn't you call him like?
It was Lecrae.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
LaCroix. We were like, what?
oh my god.
You can't
Uh,
drink it.
I think I was talking because we were pitching our project ideas for was it broadcast?
Yeah.
He's one of
And I said something about Lecrae because he was one of the artists that I was going to play on the radio station, and he was like, "Isn't that like a sparkling water or something like that?" I was like, "No, not.
Close, but no.
Thank you."
I think my favorite one was after I first got my hair cut from being long into a mullet. I had Dale as a professor at the time, and like as soon as I did, Dale whips out his wallet, pulls out his ID, and he's like, Ryan, you gotta see this. He's like, Dale wasn't. He goes, Ryan, I had a mullet, not as good as yours. I had a mullet. Like just the way he was excited about it, and like
That's
you guys all know it.
Awesome.
Whips out his ID, and sure enough, Dale had a mullet.
That was my favorite thing is he still had his college ID in his wallet. I'm like, Dale,
That's
what are you
amazing.
doing?
That was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yes. So we'll just keep talking. We've had a lot of funny memories over the years that we get for being a small department.
Right.
Any other funny memories that you guys have? It can be about anybody.
My favorite memory of all time, I don't think anything will ever top this, was I was doing a live shot outside with Ryan. How we had this whole thing set up was just the worst setup ever. But Ryan had my phone in his hood of his sweatshirt, and he was on the phone with Adam, waiting for Adam to count us down to tell me when to go, so Ryan gave me my countdown. And at the time, my boyfriend, who's my fiance now, decided he was in a call even though he knew I was live. And Ryan tried to deny the call or decline the call, but he accidentally answered it. So Derek was now in his hood, and Adam was just hung up on, and nobody knew when I was supposed to go live. And I was looking at Ryan, and I'm just standing there awkwardly holding the microphone, smiling, and I just see Adam bolt around the corner, jumping the highest I've ever seen a white man jump. And he's like, no, start talking. So I'm trying not to bust up laughing, and I just forgot like all the weather that I was supposed to have memorized. It was the funniest thing that's ever happened.
I think my favorite version of Adam Widener is when there is a countdown going on and he can't get somebody's attention because
He goes to all extent.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love it. It's the best.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
I think one of my favorites was like when we had our first like broadcasting film like group thing like for the awards that he would give out. and Adam had made that video of Noah.
Stop! Oh my gosh, this is not roast Noah time.
I've never seen that video.
It's always roast Noah time.
I've never seen that.
The best part though is like we all like saw it and we were like laughing and stuff, but no one knew until like last year because we had a perspective that was in it. It was Beckham a lot, and she remembers the whole video, but she didn't want to say because she felt bad for Noah.
That's hilarious.
So last year she didn't. She like told me, but I'm like, you were the perspective. She goes, oh yeah, like I remember the whole video. She was like, I was trying not to laugh, but it was really funny, and like I didn't know at all. Like, oh
It's
my
a
God.
real shame that Becca, as a perspective, has seen it, and I have not. Neither has Cody.
Noah,
I
we
know, I
love
told
you.
my parents to play it again for us one more time.
Let's insert it right here.
I wish I could put
Play
it
for the
up
whole
as
world.
like the background. You can put
Yes.
video backgrounds up.
Yeah. The thing is, like, Adam spent so much time on that video. Like,
And
it
he
was
was so proud
long.
of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
The
proud
whole
of it.
time he was smiling. Oh my gosh.
He thought he was the funniest man alive that day.
Yep. But no, he was really complimenting you because he was saying you have a really nice smile. So,
It may have been mild bullying, but it was hysterical
Yeah.
and in good heart.
It was all of like the little snippets of blooper reels of just my freshman year. It was
like, what the
Oh my
frick
gosh,
was
no.
that?
Noah, what did you say after our first broadcast?
What the frick was that?
That's,
So
I
okay.
was just about to mention that. That is my favorite memory.
To give it a little bit of context, so that was the first time I had ever been on camera for a news broadcast, and I thought we were completely done. You know, we had went to black screen and everything. I totally mumbled about all I was supposed to say, and I put my head on the desk because I was so embarrassed because I thought I did so bad. And you can hear me say, what the frick was that? And nobody knew that we were still recording. So whenever we went back to critique ourselves, we heard that and everybody just started laughing. And
I think it was right in behind the credits too.
Oh,
We
Hilarious.
both
Very
just
end of the
cut off
credits.
and we both just looked at each other and then Noah just put his head down. It was
so
incredible.
That was a good time. Good times.
I have another good memory. So this was from broadcast boot camp, and I think Ryan was there, and Noah was there. Kobe might have been there. Okay, so I was like the only girl at broadcast boot camp, other than Randy was there.
Oh, this is funny.
Mhm.
So we
Yeah.
decided we were,
Freshman year.
we're
The
all
one
like,
I didn't get invited to.
so for the listener, broadcast boot camp is we get to come a week early to campus, and we spend the week with our freshmen, and we start teaching them hands-on stuff already. But then it's also a time to start bonding with everyone, and it's really fun, especially as a freshman. It's really helpful because you start to get to know people, and especially upperclassmen before you get started. So anyway, so we have like these bonding times. So we went to the basketball court, and we decided that we were going to play basketball, and like Logan was there. Ryan was there. I think Noah was there because he's
I
like,
was.
I forget. I think maybe Justin was there. I don't know.
Probably.
Like other people were there. So it's like me and Randy against all of them. But I would just stand in the corner the entire game. And Ryan and Noah and Logan would get so mad at me because I would just stand there and then they'd pass me the ball and I would just like not do anything with it because I was so intimidated by trying to play basketball. I can't play basketball worth anything. So I was like, can we go like play volleyball or like do something else? Because like this is my like number one thing I can't do.
Remember having to run the bases for sports broadcasting? I didn't have to because, you know, wheelchair, but
Oh my goodness, because I remember, because it was sports broadcasting, like the class or whatever.
yeah, sports production.
Yeah, sports production, and like me and Justin and you were on the field, and then like me and Justin, and it was like after it rained. Every time we were there, it had rained, and so we had been doing this for like a week and a half, and we were just over it. And I just remember Justin looking at me. He goes, "Emma, I have new shoes on. I am not running in that."
Oh, no.
That sounds like a Justin
was-
thing.
Oh,
And then I like walked from base to base, and Adam's like, "Emma, aren't you a runner?" I said, "Not for baseball." It was like an 8:30 a.m. class or something too.
Well, I remember
It was Tuesday, Thursday. It was horrible.
I remember Logan Hunt, whenever it would be raining outside and he would have his Duke shoes on, he would wear plastic bags over his shoes. He still wanted to wear those Duke shoes, but he did not want to get those
Hey, you
wet
have
at
to keep
all.
the Jordans clean.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I gotta stay fresh.
At all costs. At all costs.
I think we all remember that experience of the first time you see Logan Hunt whip out his Owens bags or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Backpack, and you're like, what are you doing?
The biggest thing I remember from Logan was the chicken tender story. All I remember is during radio practicum or just when we were hanging out, he would be like, if you go on a date with a guy, you never get chicken tenders. It's just an insult. And then he would proceed to tell us the story again.
I just remember radio practicum. I think Peter, Emma, and Josh was there too. And we went through the whole timeline of Logan and his dating life. And it was hilarious.
I was there too.
So to wrap up, let's talk about, I know it's kind of shaky. We're all in the same boat right now as far as career situation. But if you kind of have an idea, let's talk about where you want to go, what you want to do after you graduate. So not necessarily that's going to happen, but what you would like to happen. So I know it's different for everybody.
So I'll go first. Well, the wedding was supposed to be in October.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure that's going to happen anymore. The wedding will still happen, just maybe not in October. But we plan to move to Nashville, and I would really love to have a job within the music video industry. That's definitely my passion, and I would also love to be a concert photographer and tour. But that can only happen for so long because I eventually want to start a family. But that's kind of the plan as of now, once, the music video world starts again and people are allowed to be back together. So, yeah, that's what I plan to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's really just, I'm going for working in a church somewhere, in some type of tech ministry. And even if it happens to work it with youth in some way, I have the minor for it. So, but the main goal is to work in a church just to help out with tech, media, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, for me, I was planning on staying in South Bend and working for the internship I was doing now. But with all of COVID, they've kind of stopped working for a while. And I don't think they'll be hiring anybody anytime soon. So I've been looking around, and I wouldn't be opposed to moving out of the state because I want to travel a little bit. So I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, but I know I really want to do producing, especially shorter stuff like music videos and short films because I really enjoy shorter projects. But it's kind of up in the air. I've been applying to a couple places, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
For me, I'm really not sure what I want to do. I have a lot of different passions. I feel like going to Huntington gave me a lot of opportunity to really teach me a lot about a whole bunch of different things. I learned instant replay. I learned how to properly do camera work for sports. I mean, I learned how to edit and actually shoot videos. So I don't really know what's next for me. Currently, I have a job at UPS, and honestly, it's been great so far. I've been getting into basketball officiating a lot, and I'm just trying to take this time to really figure out where God wants me to be, and then just trying to find a dream through there, and then just working towards that.
So right now, I've been applying a bunch of places. I've had a few interviews, and no one has called me back or emailed me back. And so I'm kind of just waiting to see what happens, see what God has in store for me. I've had a lot of good, promising interviews, and people oh, that went really well. We'll be in contact. And then nothing. But that's just the reality of COVID-19 right now. It's yeah, sure, we can talk to you, but we don't really want to hire anybody. So I'm just waiting to see what will happen. I'm hoping for a church or like a production company. I've talked to both already. I've been freelancing a bunch recently, and so that's been nice. And so it's not like I'm not poor by any means. I'm doing okay. So yeah.
So I actually wanted to. So let's rewind a couple months ago. I had always wanted to be a morning show host, and then I thought about it and was like, that's a really hard gig to get into because I mean everybody listens to a morning show, everybody. But I thought about it, was like there are no disabled like media groups. I was like, I have the background for that. I have the idea, like part of an idea for like a podcast for a Wheelshare. I was like, why not just go Wheels Media? Just do that as a conglomerate and just have a bunch of different branches of it. So I'm gonna get that off the ground, hopefully, here in the next 10 years. Yeah, that's where I think I'm headed.
That's awesome.
I've also had a couple interviews. Been kind of promising. I've got another one on Wednesday. I would like to see myself in like a PR firm. Like I said, when I came into Huntington, I was a public relations major, and I still like that kind of thing. But now I also have the media background to be able to do video work. But we just did, for junior project, we did a project with Riley Children's Hospital and did a lot of really cool fundraising content and raised a good amount of money. So I might see myself in a nonprofit someday. But I am registered for grad school. So I'm going to be getting my master's degree in strategic communication through Texas Tech. And I would hope to be an adjunct professor someday.
That's pretty cool. How much did you guys end up raising for Riley?
It was over $1,100 when we stopped.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That is great.
I think for me, I originally thought I was going to be calling games in the Northwood Summer League, which is a pretty prestigious baseball summer league. I had 2 jobs that really looked like they were going to go through, but then with the world of sports not happening, it really altered a lot of that. And I would like to try to stay within the sports broadcast side. I really love and enjoy it. Everything from prep work to calling the game to, even though I won't admit it another time, even wrapping up stuff, I just love all of it. But I think right now I'm just going to kind of look for an in-between job. And then when things get back up, try to jump back into the world of sports, kind of like everybody else.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in that spot of we kind of need to know if we're going to have one or whether we should get that in-between job,
Right.
especially for sports. It's a weird world without sports right now. So yeah, I think we're all going through withdrawals, but I think once sports comes up, it's going to be really cool if you can get involved in that like pretty quickly. And so just final thing, what's your advice to incoming freshmen, underclassmen? That can be about broadcasting, that can be about college life, no matter what you want it to be about.
Try as many things as possible because, I mean, you're in college, you are not going to be wasting your time if you don't like doing something. I'd say, like, that's one piece of advice, but also when you're signing up for classes and stuff, whenever I give campus tours, I tell people this, make sure you're really asking a lot of questions about different professors because different professors may not work for your friends, but they may work for you. So just ask a lot of questions instead of just asking, hey, did you like this class? So just really try to do that.
Yeah, kind of going off what Noah said. Yeah, just be willing to try, and also be willing to fail. There's a lot of projects you'll have that they'll be awful. Like I just got done with this project that it bored me to death. And
Is it Longhorn cheese?
Huh?
Longhorn cheese?
I might have had a project worse than that just
jeez.
now.
It was
But that was
a
that was-
struggle.
But there are projects that you won't like, and there'll be projects you will like, and most of the time the ones you do like, you'll be most critical about. But yeah, just be willing to fail and learn where you failed at. So that way, the next time you do that project, you'll be able to do it better.
And even the projects that you struggle with, those will grow you, like make you grow as a broadcast major. And you'll see the positives in it. Not at the time because you'll hate it, but later you'll be like, oh, I know how to do that because this project forced me to do that.
Man, Longhorn cheese was worth it after all.
It was.
I would say, especially for type A people like me who are constantly looking to the future, like just remind yourself to be present, because even though they say, oh, it goes faster than you think, it actually does. So you'll find yourself in our places someday and be like, what happened? But just take advantage of every moment and every opportunity.
I think
For me,
Go ahead.
For me, I'd probably say time management. Just because like being a double major and having a bunch of jobs and also wanting to hang out with all my friends, especially like freshman year, was like very difficult for me. And then I figured out like having a calendar and like blocking out time to like do homework, and like when your other friends are in classes, you can do homework or even doing homework with them. It makes it a lot easier on yourself that you're not staying up till like 3 a.m. writing that 8-page paper that's due tomorrow.
Or not sleeping like Becca Malott does.
Yeah, she
Or
doesn't
did
sleep.
last semester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, time
Or last
management is
year.
probably the biggest thing.
Really wish I knew that freshman year.
Amen.
Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
I definitely wore myself out horribly trying to double major, and it was worth it in the end, but I also like did way too many things on top of it and tried to go like extreme every time. Like you can some classes like realistically just aren't as important as others. Focus on the ones that truly will help your craft and get by with the other ones. Get yourself through them. You don't have to have perfect grades in everything. And I wish I believed that in myself. But you can get through college. You don't have to be this incredible person with straight A's the whole time. Like focus on yourself too. Take time to breathe.
What I would say is be passionate. I was gonna say don't take no for an answer, but you definitely should take no for an answer sometimes.
That sounds like a key Lance Clark quote.
I feel like it is.
It's not though. I was thinking about it. Anyway, be passionate, because my 4 years, 3.5 of those years, I didn't have I wanted a radio show. I wanted a Christian hip hop radio show for the radio station. And it looked very promising at first. And then we changed formats and Christian hip hop was not in the format. And so I talked to Adam during broadcast boot camp this past summer, and was willing to be shut down because I thought that's where it was going. No expectations were high. And he was like, yeah, go for it, do it. And I was like, yes, okay. I literally, because we were in the DC, he went around the corner to leave, and I went, yes, just fist pumped the air, and it was just great. It was hilarious.
So guys, thank you so much for joining me today after not being able to see each other for many weeks and just being able to see each other before we end next week and don't really have graduation until August. But I think this is really good, and people will really get to know what our class of 2020 is about in the broadcasting department, because all the laughter is pretty much what we did for the last 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Thank you to all of the broadcast seniors for joining me for this fun adventure that we just went on. We talked for quite a while, but it was really fun to get to catch up and just talk about the past and things that we've been through, but also the future and our dreams and aspirations and just all the different directions that we get to go in. And that's just what's really cool about our major, is all the directions that everyone gets to go in. I want to thank all of you for listening to Senior Conversations over the past few weeks. We've had a lot of fun doing it and really, really appreciate the support that we have gained through it. I also am a senior this year, and this one is my final little hoorah as station manager of Forester Radio. And so I just want to thank all of our listeners, first off, for all of your support over the past 3-4 years. We have gone through a lot of change. We completely changed our image. We started this podcast. We started doing events. We did fundraisers. We did all kinds of things. And so your support has not gone unnoticed, and we appreciate it, and I appreciate it so, so much. I also want to thank my team from the past 4 years. You guys are incredible. You've helped me accomplish so many things. I wouldn't have been able to do anything without you guys, and just your excitement for radio and just bringing Forester Radio back to life over the past few years. And finally, I want to thank Lance Clark and Adam Widener for entrusting me 3 years ago with the radio station and believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself to do things with it that I thought were unimaginable. And I just want to thank them for their support and just everything that they've done for me over the past years. And so as a senior, and since this is my last thing as station manager, here is my final sign-off. As always, you can listen to Forester Radio on 105.5 WQHU in the Huntington area, or anytime, anywhere at foresterradio.com. As always, stay rooted HU.